All right, greetings YouTube. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a little while now, but I've been holding out and waiting until I had the last few upgrades done. And this bike, I believe, is now complete. It has all the upgrades that I feel make this bike a real trail shredder and really bring out the potential in this platform. And I'm going to go over them right now with you. But first, let me say, as of making this video, right now there's only 3 options of fuse available on Specialized's website, and that's the Fuse 27.5, the Sport 27.5, and the Comp. Now, I'm not sure if Specialized is planning on releasing new models, or if the rumors of the internets are true that they may actually be doing away with the fuse. So right now may be your only opportunity to get a fuse if you really wanted one. So I'm going to show you some of the ways you can save a lot of money, and just what you can do with this bike that you may actually be shying away from the 27.5, thinking that, well, I want a 29er, or I want, all these other components that really aren't on that base model. And right now you can get the Fuse 27.5 for $949, which is cheaper than the $1050 when I bought this bike. So it's actually a pretty decent deal. But let's jump into it, and we'll kind of go over just break it down: suspension, drivetrain, and brakes. Those are the 3 main things that I've upgraded on this bike, and really the only 3 things that you really care about when you're looking at a bike anyways. But let's go over the drivetrain. So it comes stock with an Advent 9-speed. That's by Microshift. A lot of people like it. Me personally, I thought the gear range was kind of lacking, and the shifting was kind of really crunchy, and it just wasn't as precise as some of the higher end SRAM stuff that you can get. So what I ended up doing here was I put a SRAM GX derailleur and shifter on here, and I have a NX cassette, which I can swap the hub out on these wheels that I have on the bike and get an XD, but I kind of chicken before the egg. I had the NX cassette, so I kept the HG hub on there. I do have an XD hub that I can put on here, so maybe eventually it will get the full 10 to 52 tooth GX, but right now it's got the NX 10 to 50 tooth. For the crank, this is something I just did recently. I picked up off of Facebook Marketplace for a super cheap price of $25. I got this Truvativ Stylo crankset. It's 170 mil. I know everyone's kind of going with the 165, but 170 is fine on this bike. It uses a dub bottom bracket, and I put a GX Eagle 32 tooth chainring on it, and it has a GX chain as well. So this is a really super solid drivetrain that offers a lot more gear range than was previously on there. Up front on the suspension, even though I have Fox factory decals on there, the reason why I put them on there is because I just like the decal pattern. Excuse the locals. I like the decal pattern on the Fox 36 factory, but this is a Rhythm. It's 150 mil, so it increases the travel from the stock 130 up to 150, which rides absolutely fine. So you get all the benefit of having a little extra plushness and more travel, of course, and the beefier stanchions. It just makes for a really nice ride. Let's talk about the brakes. I went ahead and I threw some SLX 7120s, which those are 4-piston brakes. They're actually probably the best value you can get on the Shimano lineup, because you have the servo rave technology. You can adjust the levers here to bring them closer to the bars, so you don't have to reach out very far if you got shorter fingers. And supposedly you can do a modification to remove this little nut here to get all the benefit of the adjustable bite point of the XT and XTRs. But from what I've heard, with it being screwed in all the way, that's kind of where people go anyway. So it's kind of a useless upgrade, but it's available if you so choose. Now, I did swap the bars to a 35 millimeter set. These are race face Chester bars, just aluminum bars, nothing special. But you know, I tend to like the beefier bar. I just like how it looks. I don't necessarily care one way or the other over a 31.8 about the ride characteristics, the stiffness, or anything like that. I just like a beefier bar, just preference. Now, with those brakes, I did put SRAM centerline rotors on here. I upped the size in the front up to a 203, and I put a 180. We'll put an asterisk on this one, a 180 in the rear. I say I put an asterisk because this is a small frame. I don't know if you can tell. That caliper is literally just making contact with the frame, the bolt there. Kind of mulling around in my head what I want to do. I do have a 160 millimeter centerline rotor that I'm probably, just for sake of not having anything too sketchy on the bike, probably going to end up putting that on there. But right now, just for test and see what works and what doesn't work, I put the 180 on there. I did put a 20 millimeter spacer to be able to use that 180 millimeter rotor. If you have a medium, large, extra large, you probably have no problem at all with the caliper clearance, but that seat stay does just make contact. But the rotor is actually centered. Like I said, I'm just haven't decided how comfortable I am with that contact being on there, but it doesn't affect performance in any way. Functions just fine, so it may just stay. We'll see how that goes. But the surprise that I didn't mention, those are 29-inch wheels. Now, putting a 29-inch wheel up in the front, that's a no-brainer. Got a 29-inch fork, you could put a 29-inch wheel. But this is supposedly a 27.5-inch frame. Well, I was looking at the pictures, and I noticed that a fuse with a 29 on it looks like there's, you know, not as much gap between the seat stay, or I'm sorry, the seat tube and the wheel, and as there is on the 27.5. So I said, let me see. I think a 29-inch will fit in here just fine, and sure enough, it does. And originally, I was playing around with making this a mullet, but I will tell you that was one of my experiments that didn't go too well. It rode absolutely fine, killed on the downhills, but on the uphill climbs, I did feel like the front wheel was a little too light, and it just was a little bit less than optimal at climbing. So I was like, you know, let me try putting this 29-inch wheel on here. I ended up doing that, and the bike, absolutely perfect now. So this is still my wife's bike, but I take it out occasionally, especially when I'm going around testing on it. But overall, I love riding this bike as much as I do my stump jumper. And if you're, like I said, if you're on the fence about whether or not to get it fused, with the fact that I mentioned that it's kind of, there's rumors going around that Specialized may actually be stopping the fuse this year. So there's no current new models out. So the ones that are out there is kind of last couple years stock that's still available. So if you want to get into it, save yourself a little extra coin, because there's nothing special on that Sport or that Comp that you wouldn't want to upgrade from anyways. So there's a whole lot of options that you could do with this bike. It's a very capable frame. Once you have it, you can basically go any way you want. If you want to go, you know, you can throw transmission on here if you want to, because it uses a UDH. So have fun, enjoy riding, and if you have any questions, as always, leave them below, and I'll be quick to respond as soon as I can. But thanks for watching, and if you like this content, please consider subscribing and send a like my way. See you all. Bye.